now would be a good time to get started. Just want to say thank you all for joining us for today's webinar. If you have any questions after the webinar, myself and Esther can be contacted at the Business Interaction Unit mailbox, which is on the screen, business.unit@bbsrc.ukri.org. So a few things before we get going. If you have any questions, you can use the Q&A function throughout the webinar. Just type your question and then we'll answer these in the Q&A session live. If we can't get around to all the questions, we'll follow up with these after the session, or you can email the business mailbox. The webinar is being recorded and will be available after the session. Okay. So I think if I hand over to Esther now to give some information on the funder's introduction.
Thanks, Catherine. Hello and welcome, everybody. Thrilled so many of you could join us for this call launch webinar for the BBSRC Sustainable Aquaculture Partnerships for Innovation Funding Opportunity. So I wanted to talk you through the agenda for today. So I'm going to provide you with a brief background to BBSRC for anyone on the call who isn't familiar with who we are and how we operate, and also provide you with a little bit of background information to the Business Interaction Unit, which is where I work. I will then talk you through the background to the funding opportunity and what we are looking for. And then there will be a Q&A session. As Catherine said, you are very welcome to make use of the Q&A function to type any questions that you have throughout the presentation. And we will get to these after I've finished talking and providing you with a background to the call. If there's any questions that I can't answer live during the webinar, we will make these available as well on the UKRI Funding Finder webpage after the webinar. We're aiming to take a comfort break approximately at 2 o'clock, I think, 2:30. And then there will be a scheduled networking session, you have all very kindly provided us when you signed up with the areas that you're most interested in, and we're using this to allocate people into breakout rooms during that session. So I do hope you'll be able to stay on the call for that as well. And we're aiming to finish this webinar at roughly 3 o'clock today. So yes, let's get started. So my name is Esther Harper. I am a senior portfolio manager in the Business Interaction Unit at BBSRC, where I work across the whole of the farmed animals portfolio. This includes your traditional land-based livestock agriculture, as well as aquaculture and insect farming and apiculture. We are part of BBSRC, which is part of UKRI. As a lot of you probably know, we are a significant public funder of research and innovation in the UK, and we invest over £7 billion a year. We are one of the 7 UK research councils, and also include Innovate UK and Research England, and UKRI and therefore, BBSRC is fully funded by the Treasury, and we report into DSIT. And we also work really closely with partner organisations and in the devolved administrations as well. Within BBSRC, we also regularly work quite closely with DEFRA, DARA, and ScotGov and Welsh Government as well. So we fund across the whole of the biosciences and biotechnology. So that includes non-clinical biosciences, molecules and cells, tissues, whole organisms, populations, and landscapes. Again, I'm sure many of you are familiar with the BBSRC Strategic Delivery Plan, which was published last year. We invest to support the sector to develop and respond to the needs of businesses, and understanding the context and motivations for agri-food business and supportive industry to engage with academic research is critical to BBSRC's aims. We know that the UK needs growing and profitable businesses that help achieve its economic and societal and environmental goals, which applies to businesses in every part of the sector, including aquaculture. So part of what we do in the Business Interaction Unit is to engage with businesses across the UK to find out what businesses need from research and innovation, and we also aim to connect across the whole of the supply chain, which is why we were really grateful that colleagues at CL were able to publicise this opportunity, which I expect has hopefully reached other audiences that sometimes we might struggle to reach within industry as your traditional research funders. So what is the Business Interaction Unit at BBSRC? So our aim is for businesses to thrive in their collaborations with the UK's world-leading research base and ensure that bioscience research and innovation are at the forefront of global opportunities and challenges to improve lives and boost economic growth. So how do we work with business? So we work with business in a range of different ways. We provide businesses with opportunities to meet with new academic and business collaborators. So we engage regularly with businesses throughout our day-to-day work. We also aim to collaborate through strategic partnerships, and my colleagues and I, we participate in a range of different forums as well. We also want to enable businesses to partner, invest in, and inform our investments. And we're really grateful to all the many people across the aquaculture research and aquaculture industry who have helped shape this funding opportunity and have allowed us to identify the particular needs that there are within the UK aquaculture sector for research and innovation. So we also support businesses with bespoke research and innovation insight, and we connect businesses to world-leading expertise and facilities across the UK. And we also aim to help businesses to grow and thrive through co-design, co-investment and co-delivery in strategic, industrially relevant collaborative R&D programmes, of which this aquaculture funding opportunity is one of those. And we also want to strengthen partnerships with businesses and engage them to help inform and shape and promote the national strategy and policy across BBSRC, UKRI and government. So it really is kind of a breadth of different ways that we engage with industry and academia through networking and strategic partnerships and strategic funding opportunities as well. So I wanted to move on to talk about this funding opportunity in particular, which is why I assume you're all here. BBSRC is a key funder of aquaculture R&D in the UK. And we also regularly co-fund research with other UKRI partners, including NERC and Innovate UK. And over the last 5 years, BBSRC has invested almost £40 million in aquaculture. And research and innovation in aquaculture remains a key priority for BBSRC within the strategic challenge of bioscience for sustainable aquaculture, building a green future and the One Health priority. We're also really aware that aquaculture is one of the few industries that's in this position to deliver growth in both rural and coastal communities. And this really supports a key UKRI strategy of levelling up to deliver impact across the whole of the UK. So we've identified through engagement and the many horizon scanning reports and policy papers that have been published over the past 5 or so years that strengthening the sustainability and resilience of the UK aquaculture sector is a key priority, and that there is a real strategic need for this within the aquaculture community. So over the past few years, we've engaged with a wide range of stakeholders in academia and industry, and these have helped shape this funding opportunity. We also understand that the UK aquaculture sector looks and functions quite differently. If you're a large multinational salmon producer, if you're a micro SME farming shellfish, or perhaps you're a developer working in the aquatech space, aquaculture probably looks quite different depending on where you're sitting. And so we've been really conscious that we wanted to develop a funding opportunity that allows the different aspects of the aquaculture industry to engage with this research. So the Sustainable Aquaculture Partnerships for Innovation opportunity is investing up to £3 million to enable co-investment and collaboration between academic researchers and aquaculture business to increase sustainability across the sector. So we really want this opportunity to support those key sustainability challenges so that we can sustainably increase seafood production to provide safe, sustainable, nutritious and affordable food for the UK and also for the export market as well. Within the business interaction unit, a core part of what we do is in our collaborative research is we leverage co-funding from industry. This project, in a similar vein, we ask that all projects need to have at least one project partner from industry that will contribute a minimum of 10% cash or in kind, or a combination of both, to the project. However, you are very welcome to have a consortium of project partners and share the cash or in-kind contributions across your project as well. And we also welcome contributions above the minimum 10%. As I already, I think, iterated, so the size and duration of the awards have been developed with strategic input from academia and industry, and we hope that the mechanism of allowing a consortium of project partners to come together will really maximise participation across the breadth of the aquaculture industry. I hope I haven't just skipped the wrong slide. Yes, I have. So very briefly, to go through the challenge areas of this funding opportunity, we have deliberately tried to keep sustainable aquaculture as broad as possible. This means that we hope to see projects that cover the breadth of environmental sustainability and climate change, including water quality, biodiversity, climate adaptation of farmed species, as well as species diversification. So that includes co-location of species, multi-trophic, low-trophic aquaculture, or a mixture of both. We're also interested in projects that look at gene editing and selective breeding, including the translation of research and knowledge exchange from salmon to other farmed species. Also production and handling technologies, so that might include remote monitoring and sensing, the sustainable scale-up of aquaculture systems such as IMTA and RAS, and waste management and valorization, including circular aquaculture systems, as well as systems that look to bridge aqua and agri systems as well. We also know that there is a real need to improve the health of farmed aquatic species in a changing climate. And we also have had highlighted to us the importance of research into nutrition and feeding, including reducing the reliance on fish meal and fish oil, as well as the carbon impact of aquafeeds. So we really do welcome projects that that cover one or more of these areas. So you are very welcome if this is what you're thinking, to be looking at species diversification in the context of gene editing and selective breeding, if that is what you are interested in. So I really must stress we're looking at sustainability in its absolute broadest sense, and we hope that this feels relevant to you, whether you are in academia or you are from industry. So very quickly, what support is available? So as I've already said, this total fund is £3 million, and the award range is between £200,000 and £750,000. We would expect projects to start no sooner than the 1st of April 2024, and that projects can be up to 24 months. All the standard grant costs are allowed. As is usual on most BBSRC funded projects, we will fund up to 80% of the full economic costs of your project. All projects must include at least one project partner from industry, contributing a minimum of 10% cash or in kind. So we're running this funding opportunity on the new UKRI funding service. So you cannot apply on the old GES system that I expect many of you are familiar with. We've provided as much guidance as possible on each section of the application, so hopefully you should find it fairly self-explanatory, but do make use of the range of resources that are available to you. So if you go to the UKRI website, there's a range of information about the funding service available on there. And also there's a UKRI YouTube channel, which has a whole playlist on how to use TFS. So please do use that. Also, if you're an academic, please do reach out to your research office. They should be able to advise you if this is your first time submitting an application through the funding service. The project lead is responsible for completing the application process on the funding service, but we would expect that all team members and project partners will contribute to the application. So I would say do allow enough time to check your application in read-only view before sending it to your research office. Send the completed application to your research office for checking, and they'll return it to you if it needs editing. And your research office will submit the completed and checked application to UKRI. I always feel I have to point this out. Please do allow enough time to complete and submit your application, and take into account any guidance you've been given by the research office as well, to allow for any internal processes. So I want to very quickly highlight a couple of other funding opportunities to you that may be of interest. So firstly, BBSRC has a range of collaborative research funding opportunities that are open year-round. The Industrial Partnership Awards leverage a 10% cash investment from the industry partner and fund more fundamental academic-led research. And the BBSRC Link project leverages a 50% cash or in-kind contribution from the industry partner and supports more applied research with significant industry involvement. Projects can be undertaken across the breadth of our science remit, and as I mentioned, we accept applications on a rolling basis, and there are 3 deadlines per year. Again, if if you're not familiar with this funding opportunity and you'd like to find out more, there's more information on the UKRI website, but we're also happy to take any questions you might have through the business unit email address that Catherine shared earlier, and we'll put on the screen again for you later as well. Additionally, I wanted to highlight to you that the BBSRC Business and Academia Prosperity Partnerships has opened for a round 2. This is a £17 million funding opportunity to support emerging or established research-based partnerships between business and academic institutions. This also covers the whole of the BBSRC remit, which would include aquaculture or anything relating to aquaculture within the bioscience and biotech space. Projects can be for up to 5 years, and all projects need to have a project partner from industry, and businesses must be based in the UK or have a UK-based research activity. The outline stage opens on the 27th of September, so that is open now, and it closes on the 7th of November. And if you would like more information, please do see the UKRI funding finder, or we're also happy to take any questions through the mailbox as well. And, oops, sorry. Lastly, I wanted to flag to you this funding opportunity that is co-funded by BBSRC and Innovate UK. There's up to £15 million to support the development of an alternative proteins innovation and knowledge centre. This will support collaborative research partnerships between businesses and academic researchers and create a central point for the growth of the alternative protein industry in the UK. It's a single award for 5 years from 2024 to 2029. Industry support and contributions are required. The opening date is yet to be confirmed, but there will be an in-person workshop and networking opportunity happening on the 28th of October in Birmingham. There is more information on the UKRI funding finder, and the Alternative Proteins IKC strategy and activities should cover the areas of cultivated meat, fermentation systems for algal, bacterial or fungal fermentation, plant-based alternative proteins, novel aquaculture systems, and new food production systems, including insect production, seaweed cultivation, and other alternatives to traditional animal production systems. So this may well be of interest to some of you on the call. So I am now going to hand back over to Catherine for any questions that you may have submitted.
Thanks, Esther. So I think if anyone has got any more questions, keep typing them in. But we'll start with one that we had through before the webinar, and that is, can a research organisation submit more than one proposal?
The answer is yes, you are welcome to submit as many proposals from your institution as you would wish. However, I would advise that you also consult within your university, as there may be a system in place if there are multiple applications. So we are happy to accept multiple applications from a university in BBSRC.
And then I guess similar question, can a PI lead more than one application?
Again, the same thing applies. However, please note that UKRI will not fund more than 100% of your time. So please do be aware of this.
Okay. Can this funding opportunity be utilised for a research fellowship?
No.
How can a non-UK business be involved? How can they be involved?
So all businesses must be based in the UK or have a UK-based research activity. So if you are looking to involve a non-UK based business, they can be included on the project. But the project lead, if you can provide a one-page justification outlining that the capability does not exist in the UK and the benefit of having that partner involved, then you would need to submit this to us at BBSRC before proceeding. So the general rule is that the business must be UK based or have a UK based research activity. But if there is a specific case why you would want to include a non-UK based business, then please do provide additional information about that business and how that capability does not exist in the UK. And we will follow that up afterwards. So I would suggest that you contact us via the business unit mailbox.
Will you take a portfolio approach to the project selection?
Sorry, I missed that.
Will you take a portfolio approach to project selection?
So in terms of the funding, we would hope that we will receive a range of applications across the breadth of the scope of this call. All projects will be assessed by an expert panel who will assess the proposals and provide BBSRC with a rank ordered list. However, BBSRC does reserve the right to balance the portfolio if there are particular projects or particular areas that are recommended by the panel for funding.
Be non-aquaculture, as any project with micro SME focus, e.g. bivalve aquaculture, would always struggle to get 10% cash or in kind.
Yes, absolutely. I guess just a couple more points on that. I've just seen that question as well. So, for example, if you want to collaborate with a micro SME, but there's also another industry partner, then basically you're welcome to come together as with multiple project partners, and perhaps one project partner would contribute 80% of the cash or in kind contribution, and another project partner would be able to contribute 20% cash or in kind. That's absolutely no problem whatsoever.
Or again, either next year or multiple times a year.
Sorry, again, I missed the beginning of that question.
Are there any plans to run this call again, either next year or multiple times per year?
So at this point in time, this is the only time that we are running this particular funding opportunity.
BBSRC IPA requires 10% cash contribution, but can we just confirm that in this case the 10% can be in kind as well?
Yes, that's absolutely fine. It can be either or a combination of both.
Yeah. Will this funding support setting up a virtual research centre?
I would have to take that question away. I am happy to answer that afterwards, but I would need to double check.
Can this funding be used to hire a postdoc and/or PhD student?
No, it cannot. However, if your university has PhD funding available and would like to contribute a PhD student to the project, again, that is very welcome, but this grant cannot be used to fund the PhD student. Again, if it's a postdoc who will be working on the project, that's absolutely no problem whatsoever, but it cannot be used to fund PhD students.
Great. So will the assessment panel have industry representatives to guide on sector relevance on the project selection?
Absolutely, that is crucial to us in the business interaction unit at BBSRC, and we would hope to have a roughly 50-50 split between industry and academia on the panel.
What defines UK-based research activity? Would that include funding to a UK institution or funding a UK-based PhD student?
I would ask if that question can be submitted through the business unit mailbox. If we can pick that one up afterwards, I think I kind of understand what you're getting to, but I don't want to provide inaccurate information in terms of specifically what that requirement is.
So we've got another question here about costings and in-kind contributions. So could you say a bit more about the types of in-kind contribution that would be acceptable and how costings for these should be structured? Would quotations for time offered be acceptable, for example?
Yes, so in terms of in-kind contributions, that would be staff time, that could be access to laboratory facilities, that could be access to your farm site, that could there is a real breadth in terms of what can be included within in-kind contributions. We would ask so that everything that is considered to be an in-kind contribution does need to be costed, because we need to be able to calculate that 10% to ensure that you've met that minimum threshold. But yes, there's a significant amount of guidance online in terms of what constitutes in-kind contributions. Again, I would have to double check what the link is, but perhaps one of my colleagues on the call can pick that up and put that into the answer on the Q&A for that particular question.
Thank you. So another question kind of relating to in-kind contributions. For multinational businesses with R&D units in the UK and abroad, are there any specific requirements about where the in-kind activities take place?
I believe not, but again, I would want to double check that. We certainly do have international companies where some of the research does take place abroad. However, there is additional documentation if that is usually required for that. So I would need to again provide additional clarification with that.
Thank you. So we've got one more here. How far down the value chain would be appropriate for this funding? Is it just about primary production, or could it include processing or product development, for example?
Again, I would prefer to provide an answer to that with a tiny bit more information. So as long as it is across the biosciences and biotechnology and relates to aquaculture, it should be in the scope, but it would be useful to have a tiny bit more information about this before answering.
Some of the other questions are more TFS related that we might have to direct to some colleagues not on the call. I don't know if you can see any more questions, Esther.
Don't think so. I believe that's everything. I guess just one thing to say at this stage is if there are any questions that occur to you after this call, please do feel free to drop us an email and we're very happy to pick those up. Additionally, we will be popping in and out of the breakout rooms later so that we can answer any questions that you might have that occur during those discussions as well. But yes, we do have more time, so if there are any further questions, please do feel free to pop them in the chat.
I can see a question about the email address, so I'll pop that Business Interaction Unit email address in the chat shortly.
Well, if there are no more questions, then I suggest that we take a break a little bit earlier than planned, and this will allow more time for the networking session.
Can a PDRA on the project work at the industry too as a placement?
I would have to get back to you on that, I'm afraid. And yes, we will provide text from the Q&A.